What killed Angry Birds games? You must remember those days of childhood when we used to spend our time playing a lot of mobile games. The most popular game, along with Subway Surfers, Temple Run, and Dr. Driving, was Angry Birds. This is the same mobile game that was the first to hit 1 billion downloads in the world, and at that time, its addiction was such that if I saw someone playing the game, I wanted to play it myself. But then, why did we stop playing it? And why is it considered a dead game by many? Let's discuss the downfall of Angry Birds in this video. But before that, do comment your favorite Angry Birds game below. Before talking about the downfall of Angry Birds, we have to talk about its start. 3 students from the Helsinki University of Technology started Rovio Entertainment, which we know as the developer and publisher of the Angry Birds franchise. All 3 of them had participated in a mobile game development competition organized by HP and Nokia in 2003. Their developed game, King of the Cabbage World, won that competition, after which they started a company by the name of Reload. They kept making games for many years and also became quite successful, after which they changed the name of the company to Rovio. Then, in 2009, after making 51 games, they released the first Angry Birds. It was developed by taking inspiration from another game called Crush the Castle. At that time, the swine flu epidemic was very much in the news, so developers used pigs as enemies. And the game was a sensation at launch. It became so popular that no one could have even imagined it. Angry Birds became the first mobile game series to complete 1 billion downloads, and that too after just 3 years in 2012. Then in 2014, it crossed 2 billion downloads, and in 2015, it crossed 3 billion downloads. This means the game was becoming excessively popular. Meanwhile, Rovio also changed its name to Rovio Entertainment because it had become an entertainment company by now. This means they were making games like Angry Birds, Space, Rio, Seasons, Star Wars, and whatnot. In 2011, they started working on the Angry Birds movie and then released animations the following year as well. They even started a channel by the name of Toons TV, which later got closed. The company was expanding Angry Birds very aggressively, which meant they were developing more and more games, but the main focus was to make a media franchise out of it. So its merchandise was released, like toys, comic books, and soft drinks. Yes, soft drinks. I mean, it had flavors like Tropical and Paradise, but the company didn't stop there. They built theme parks as well. They were called Angry Birds Land, where game characters were featured in the amusement parks, activity parks, and miniature golf courses. Rovio even partnered with NASA and opened a theme park named Angry Birds Space Encounter at the Kennedy Space Center. Everyone was talking about Angry Birds. Whether on TV or in advertisements, Angry Birds Playground was launched to teach kindergarten children math, science, music, art, and crafts in a fun way. And this was also not shocking to me until I heard that Angry Birds had entered spirituality. This means that programs were released in ISKCON Brazil under the name Angry Birds Yoga. How to eliminate the green pigs in your life. So it shows how Angry Birds had taken over the whole world, but it didn't last well, and one of the most popular franchises has also landed in some controversy. In 2014, even though Angry Birds was ruling the hearts of people, it started to be known as the leaky app. There were allegations against it that the game used to collect private data from its users, like the gender of the player, whether someone is married or not, and which political party they follow. The data might be for showing better ads, but along with it, this data goes to the USA's intelligence agency NSA and the UK's intelligence agency GCHQ. And it included personal data as well, as the location of the user, which was very dangerous. These claims were made by Edward Snowden, whom you might know for having exposed the US government and NSA. Rovio stated that no data from their end has gone to any intelligence agency, but yes, there is a definite possibility that the data might have been shared by the advertisers. After this, some hackers also tried to take revenge on Rovio. They hacked their website and named it Spying Birds instead of Angry Birds. Although this was a huge controversy, it might not have made a difference in the game's popularity. Then what happened that the game has become dead as of today's date? Well, Rovio did anything and everything to try to milk Angry Birds. The spin-off games that came out in the beginning did well, like Angry Birds Space and Angry Birds Rio. But then they started making games that were not related to Angry Birds at all. I mean, Angry Birds Epic, which is a turn-based RPG game, and Angry Birds Go, where, forget slinging, you're actually racing. Yes, it was fun to play with, and those 3D graphics were looking good too. But it didn't attract many fans because they still prefer the original Angry Birds. The company had to face some losses due to the the new games being less popular. Rovio said that their net profit has halved, due to which they had to lay off 110 of their employees. And to compensate for this, Angry Birds 2 was launched. Although 10 games had already come out before that, it featured similar gameplay with some new mechanics. Fans liked these new additions, so it was a good opportunity to revive the series. But Rovio's misjudgment was still not over. Though Rovio Entertainment created one of the most famous mobile games, they could not replicate this success with other games. That's why they were heavily dependent on the Angry Birds brand. They updated old Angry Birds games regularly and also tried developing new types of games. Angry Birds Pop, which was a bubble shooter-like game, and Angry Birds Blast, which was like Candy Crush. So yes, there was a huge lack of creativity. And on top of that, they removed their old games in 2019, specifically the ones released before 2014, which fans used to play the most. At that time, the company refused to give any reason, but basically they wanted to focus on their new games. The problem with this thought process was that fans did not like their new games as much as they used to like the old ones, and their new games didn't even have any unique elements. They were just like other popular games with an Angry Birds skin. People neither wanted to play the new games nor could play the old ones. Hence, the popularity of Angry Birds went down a lot. Later on, the company might have realized that they couldn't force people to play their new games, and it must have affected revenue and profitability. So on high demand, the Bad Piggies game was brought back in 2020, and then in 2021, they explained why they had removed the old games. Yes, one reason was to focus on new games, and secondly, the classic games were built on an old engine, for which it was difficult to bring updates. So they announced a remake of the game, in which the classic game would be brought back. That too by making them all new, so that there would be no problem in updating them. Finally, on March 31st, 2022, it was launched under the name Rovio Classics: Angry Birds. Another problem with the company is excessive greed. A company's main aim is to generate returns for its shareholders, but at what expense? Rovio Classics: Angry Birds, which was re-released in 2022, was removed again in less than a year. Why, you might ask? Because this is a paid game. Players can just pay a small price upfront and enjoy the game for life, which started to affect their other freemium games. So they chose microtransactions as their primary business strategy and removed the game from the Google Play Store in February 2023, and additionally renamed it to Red's First Flight in the iOS App Store. This is a part of an experiment, where the main goal is that the game shouldn't come up whenever someone searches for Angry Birds. That's why they try both things, removing the game from the Google Play Store and renaming it on the iOS App Store. Whichever strategy works better will be implemented on the other platform as well. Community manager Sean Buckaloo stated, "The main focus of the company needs to be looking forward, into the future and at our live games. That's what's needed for the business. That doesn't mean we don't want to bring back some of these classics, nostalgic experiences, but we have to be more creative and figure out solutions where we can do that without harming the live games and the main source of our business." The company's main problem was that Angry Birds had become too popular. Hence, whatever new game they make, they try to replicate that success, where they should have just focused on making good games. From 2020 to 2022, they launched new types of games like Angry Birds, Bird Island, but at the same time, they focused on bringing back classic elements as well, which can be seen in Angry Birds Classics, Angry Birds Journey, and Angry Birds Reloaded. Rovio's head of brand operations shared their aim to make the red mascot of mobile gaming. Now let's see whether they will be able to revive the series or if it is too late now, because the competition has increased in mobile gaming. People have moved on to newer games like PUBG and Genshin Impact. You can tell in the comments whether you still play these games or not. Watch the video on the left to find out why Notch, who made Minecraft, is so controversial, and watch the video on the right to know why Rockstar Games gets so much hate. If you like this video, then like it and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, ta-ta, bye-bye.